Hello friends, and welcome. My name's Popeye, and today we're playing some more Steins Gate Zero. And dang it, Samus, we just all lost the game. Thank you for that. Can you alert Beardy? I'm sure he would love to know. Um, but yeah, before we get into this game, some trigger warnings. This game is not for everyone. If any of these things makes you feel uncomfortable, please find somewhere else that will make you feel comfortable. This game includes themes such as child abuse, abduction, suicide, murder, death, dismemberment, torture, blood, gore, sexual assault, any of those things against a minor. If you missed any of those, they're in the description below, and I've updated it to include some that I commonly say that I didn't have down there. But yeah, if you're staying around, thank you, Samus. If you're staying around, last time we had a shorter stream due to some technical difficulties. Basically, we've had some issues with the cable recently. The internet company came and replaced some stuff. We were hoping that would fix it. It turns out it's actually the TV that's having problems. We have to replace the TV. But on the plus side, the internet company gave us a free upgraded router and upgraded our cable from copper to fiber. So I'm not complaining. It's also not my house, so I don't have to pay for the TV, so that makes me feel better. I mean, that's the hope, Samus's. I've thought for a long time that a bunch of the internet problems I've been having are because of the router. Because I would notice the router would go from 5 bars to 2, and when it did that, like, the whole house internet just, like, goes to crap. I haven't seen it do that since. That being said, we've only had it for, like, 3 days. But I'm hoping that's better. For those of you who are more interested in the specs, I did a speed test of the internet before and a speed test of the internet after. We had, I would say, about mid-30s, let's call it 35 down, 7.5 up. Now we're hitting 60 down and I think it's about 28 up. So huge difference, especially in the upload speed. I noticed last stream I don't think I had any dropped frames whatsoever. Yeah, so our router would have been probably about 7 or 8 years old at my guess. So yeah, so I'm hoping that'll fix a bunch of stuff. Yeah, so Steins Gate. Last time, we started on, this new world line ending, the Promised Renaissance, where, we wake up and we're like, something's not right, and then we wake up again, because apparently we were having a dream. Our body sucks, we feel like crap. We walk outside, and as you can see, the whole city's just, like, destroyed, you know, just normal stuff. Beardy put a curse on you. Yeah, so the whole city's destroyed. We come into contact with Suzuha, who saves us from some, I don't know, whatever, post-apocalyptic, like, muggers, I don't know what they are. Takes us to Daru, who explains that it's the year 2036, so we've gone ahead in time 25 years. We were captured by Stratfor. They tortured us to try and get information about the time machine after we deleted everything from Chrissy's memories off their servers and out of Kagari's head. We didn't give in to torture, but whatever it was, 11 years of torture, just destroys you as a person. So what they did is they had saved a copy of our memories from the end of January 2011, replaced our memories with that, and then waited several months for us to wake up, which we have done. We're just about to meet Lukako, Ferris, and Mayuri when they found a trap, and Lukako is currently dying. Fun stuff. I think that about covers it. So let's listen to Lukako's dying words. Lukako reached out a cold hand and touched my cheek. and smiled a dazzling smile. That was all he said. And then the touch in my cheek disappeared. Cold hand fell to the rubble-covered ground. Hello, Candy. How is it going? And never moved again. There's the suspicious command. Pretty good, pretty good. We're just watching our friends die in our arms. You know, just normal stream stuff. You're in a war? What kind of war is this? It's escalated to homing pigeons. Glad? She was glad after this? Mayuri's words made me realize how hellish the last 25 years I'd slept through must have been. Yeah, no worries. Because it is a wonderful midnight for you. And I know you were up until... Geez, what was that, like... 3 a.m., 4 a.m. yesterday? Fair enough.
Mayushi wa?
Sam says, I was waiting for you to realize that. But, I mean, the thing you wanted to not join over has already happened, so I guess you can stay. Lukako was dead. He died protecting Mayuri and Ferris. Jeez, what's that, like, terrifying sound effect? Yep, no worries. Enjoy your game, Candy. In my mind, his death overlapped with Mayuri's. Mayuri's hands got colder, and so did Lukako's. And we have Funky. How are you, Funky? It was the same no matter where I went. Mayuri, Lukako. Alright. I'm glad you have this quote memorized, Samus. Mim is a skyscraper, Funky's a space station. Okay. And Krisu. Everyone dies. Samus says, I bet you have a better idea of what my quotes are than what I do. Like, I can't even remember what my last quote was. Yep, no worries, Funky. Samus says, I'll remember that later when you say you're tired and want to sleep. I knew this was coming. At least, I thought I knew. If I didn't reach Steins Gate, if I stayed in the Beta World line, the world would eventually burn. I'd heard it 1,000 times, and I thought I knew what the future would be like. But in the end, it was just a story about the distant future. It didn't feel real at all. Even when you want to sleep, you remind yourself that sleep is evil. It's the last thought you have before you collapse and faint. Are you, like, Pavloving yourself to hate sleep? It seems like a bad idea. I could only imagine it. All I had were vague, unrealistic ideas. All the thousands of nightmares I'd experienced. I thought nothing could be worse than that. I will say, I hate sleep when I have trouble sleeping. Like when I'm sick, when I have a cold or something, and sleep is more just like half like hours laying there trying to sleep and not sleeping, then I hate it. If it's fine falling asleep, then it's fine. It's whatever. At least that's my opinion on it. When I saw it with my own eyes, heard it with my own ears, and felt it with my own skin, I realized that everything I'd thought was wrong. Piles of bodies, wild dogs devouring human corpses. See, this is why people love falling asleep to my content. You got wild dogs eating corpses. Just wonderful stuff for good, solid dreams. Dead soldiers, the smell of burning flesh, the smell of rotting organs, the warmth of Lukiko's blood in my hands. Sleep brings dreams, and if into dreams you go, only pain you will find. Good dream material. The warmth of Mayuri's blood, the warmth of Krisu's blood. I thought that if nothing else, I'd managed to save Mayuri. I'd let Krisu die, turned my eyes away from reality, and told myself that at least I'd save Mayuri and the others. But in the end, I hadn't saved anyone. The only thing I saved was my fashion sense, because now I have this stylish black suit. Even if I had, I'd only save myself. I was the only person I'd managed to save. No one else. Not Krisu, not Mayuri, not Kagari, not Lukiko. I hadn't saved anyone. Should have just killed everyone.
アマデウスの呪縛から解放してやってくれ。伝言。2025年のオカリンから。
Oh, cool. So now, the us who has the memories of the past is hearing a message from us in the future, which is now the past, but we're in the present. Everyone got that?
俺の伝言。シュタインズゲート世界線への道は険しい。一度や二度やり直したところでたどり着ける道ではないだろう。けれど、まずはそこから始めることがシュタインズゲートへとつながるんじゃないか。いくつもの未来の先が過去へとつながっているんじゃないか。11年前、オカリンはそう言ってた。クリスを解放。だからさ、僕たちがいるこの世界も無駄じゃない。きっと必要な世界なんだ。少なくとも今の僕はそう思ってる。
Hello, Deadbeard. Thank you for the host. So in the previous game, it's revealed that you have to fail one to save Chris. So, in the previous game, yes. At the, in the true ending, after you failed the first time, you discover that we're the ones. Huge spoilers for the first game, by the way. First of all, if you're here for the first game, we're on the second game. There's going to be major spoilers, you should leave. But yes, so at the end of the first game, after we find out we're the ones who killed Krisu, in the tower, whatever that was, like a month back, we get that message from ourselves in the future where we said we had failed and we knew a way to succeed. See the previous word. Yes, don't worry. I lost the game. How long have I been streaming? About 14 minutes ago. So I play with the rule that you can't lose the game more than once every hour, because otherwise you just be sitting there like, I lost the game. I lost the game. I lost the game. So an hour I find is a good amount of time to get your head away from that onto something else. I know people who play with shorter time limits, but I find an hour is a good amount for most people. Reminder 1 hour. Hey Google, set a reminder in 1 hour that everyone lost the game. Thank you.
もちろん。だからってこのままでいいってわけじゃない。
Yes. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like when I switch screens, sometimes it just takes like 10 15 seconds for it to find the game again. So the first like 15 seconds I'm like, "Hello, game, you there? Oh, there you are."
誰
You just go with one you've reasonably forgot.
もう一度戻って考えてみてもいいんじゃねオカリンの記憶の途切れたその時間にさ
Yeah, I've kind of done the reverse. So I have a scene that's just my head, and I insert that into other ones, which is why I can quickly move about. Boom. But yeah, I have a scene that's just called My Face, and I just overlay it on top of all of my other screens. Just, I guess, in my way, you get to see my face first instead of the game. My face in the middle of my face. I mean, there you go. There's my face. I kind of want to make another one that's like this, but also has my face in every corner.
2011年にかでもそんなこと
I could see my aged body in the glass. Please show us. You've shown us one picture, and it just looks like we've had a rough week.
第一この姿のまま戻ったところで
Can add a video delay of 1 minute. And do the old movie thing where like one half of me is on this half of the screen and then the other half is on this half, and it's like, hey Popeye, hey, how's it going? Heard a voice I recognized from the radio, and it wasn't my own. That was popularized by Back to the Future, and this game is Back to the Future. Yeah, the one that came to mind immediately, just because it's the latest one I've seen, was from Friends, where it's is it Phoebe, and she has a twin sister. Yeah.
ひよじょうさんか
As if he'd known what she was going to say, Dara had moved to a spot in the back of the room where the lights didn't reach. Suddenly it got brighter, and I saw... Bum bum bum.
電話レンチかっこかり
The phone wave. Number 8, apparently. Yeah, you can do that, 'cause I'm pretty sure that's what I did, because I like having mine mirrored, so, like, this is my right hand. I don't know, just seeing myself when I'm looking at the thing, if it's reversed for me, it doesn't work well with my brain, so I mirrored it just for me. Having 4 camera sources destroyed your CPU. Yeah, that sounds like it could happen. That would confuse you a lot less. I mean, it also comes down to it's the same thing when people are like, do you invert Y or not? On your controller for things, and it depends. Hello, Avier. Like, I'm thinking right now, if I was doing a shooter, I'd want it to be not reversed, but for flight controls, I would reverse it. Yeah, exactly. So just so everyone's aware, you can make a time machine from an old microwave oven, like an old radio transceiver, 3 Raspberry Pis, a ribbon cable, and a headset.
こんなこともあろうかとリフターも用意してある。
Popeye the astronaut. A cheap headset at that. Oh, I know. I know cheap headsets. This headset right here. So it's the Turtle Beach Air Force Recon. I think it was like tax and everything. It was like $60 Canadian, which would be, I don't know, high 40s American, something like that. And it's done me very well. Dar went on to explain that for the last 11 years, he'd maintained an environment where I could receive the time leap, even in a coma. That made sense. Even if I was in a coma, as long as they put the receiver up to my head, it would still function. Mayuri and the others had taken care of my body since 2025. So Daru and Maho had known this day would come 11 years ago? Maybe I had told them so back in 2025. I think people joined Samus's. Maybe that was when Beardy came in. 336 hours is such an odd number.
336時間。2週間か。
So in this game at least, he never gets that message. I think Suzuha has it, and he's just like, nope, I don't want to hear it, I'm done. Whereas in the first game, he does listen to the message from himself, and then follows through with it. Yeah, no worries, Beardy. Two weeks. Thank you, game, for doing math. I was literally thinking about pulling a calculator out to do. Okay, well, it's gonna get more confusing, Samus says. So now, they've improved the phone wave time leap machine. Future name still subject to change. So, from the year 2036 to about the year 2026, you can go back 2 weeks at a time. You can time leap 2 weeks backwards. Once you hit the year 2026, you can only go 2 days at a time. In other words, if I wanted to go back to the end of January 2011, I'd need about 3,000 time leaps. Who's ready to time leap 3,000 times? I mean, yes and no, because it's also after a certain point, whenever the World War III takes place, you don't really have factories, you don't really have components, it just becomes scavenging, and it comes down to what do you have available at that point in time, and like maybe they know how to make it better, they just don't have the parts for it. Gosh dang it. Almost 3,000 time leaps. Was I really capable of something like that anymore?
しんどくなったら途中で休めばいい。
I still don't even have my phone.
大丈夫よ。どの時間にたどり着いても必ず私たちがいるから。
野鳥さん。
私ね、後悔しているの。アマデウスのせいで。あの子は死んでもなお多くの横島な人々に利用されようとしていた。何年も何十年も。だから私からもお願い。あの子、クリスを醜い欲望の渦から解放してあげて。クリスを救ってあげて。それができるのは岡部さん、あなただけよ。
I didn't know if I could do it anymore. There's no guarantee that the path I was about to travel would ever lead me to Steins Gate. But even so...
もう一度考えるか。
What could I do? What should I
二
do?
人とも頼む。オキドキ。
As soon as the words were out of his mouth, he started getting ready.
岡部さん、もしも次にクリスに会えたら言ってやって。未来の私はあなたの7倍もの時間跳躍を可能にしたわよって。
わかった。
Hello, Burning Hat and the monorail. How's it going? If I ever saw Krisu.
こっちの準備は OK だ。早いな。メンテは怠ってないからね。さすがだな。まあな。
Phone wave and the VR headset. They looked a little different from what I'd seen in the old lab, but they were still our future gadgets.
でも
A monorail doesn't chew. No, a monorail doesn't chew, it chews, because it's one, it's mono.
今飛ばないと決心が鈍りそうだ。それに今会えなくてもいくらだって会えるさ。過去の世界で。そうだな。
Sarah smiled as I took the VR headset out of his hand and put it on my
それ
head.
じゃあまた2週間前でな。ああ、2週間前で。
I don't have my cell phone.
しっかりね。
I want my cell phone. And then I jumped back into the past once more. It took a long, long time. The journey was unimaginably long. Alright. Okay, it's gonna fast forward this for us, apparently. Cell phones don't exist in the future. Looked at the phone I was holding in my hand. The date, which is behind my face, read January 31st, 2011. No doubt about it. I was back. I finally made it back. So, Samus's, if you want to sit through it, the anime version does have him going through, it's obviously not all 3,000, it does have him doing quite a bit, and it's one of the sequences where I think I prefer the anime version of it, because it shows him, like, getting tired throughout it. Like, 3,000's a lot of times, and, like, every time he comes to, basically he has to have the exact same conversations with everyone of, like, hey, I woke up from the future, I have time leaped 193 times so far, I need to time leap back to another 2 weeks, and so on. And I think he has, like, a mental breakdown partway through when he goes from, like, the 2 weeks at a time to the 2 days. Because you go from doing, like, whatever, 26 leaps is 1 year, to, so 365, 183 leaps is a year, and just like he sits there like, what have I done? Can I go through with this? And if I remember correctly, he has like a talk with Maho, like kind of like the one they had about with Krisu, but like an extended version at the halfway point when he's like taking this break and not trying not to have a mental breakdown. I'd gone back through so many years. I'd done thousands of time leaps. Gone through the war. Oh yes, and it also cuts out this part where like he's time leaping literally through the World War, and he has to like run between buildings and stuff as bombs are going off to make it back to the time leap machine. Like all of that is not part of the original game, and honestly, I think they missed their opportunity on it. I thought of giving up a bunch of times, but each time I'd remembered it all. That ruined world, the piles of corpses, the screams, the shouting, the dripping blood, and Dara and Maho and how they'd sent me off. Yeah, so I mean, part of that might be because this game is for sure significantly shorter than the original game, but from an anime point of view, they're the exact same number of episodes. They're 24 each. I think this one has an OVA at the ending, and the first I think has like an OVA, and then it has a movie where they go to America. I don't remember the movie being that good, but the best scene of the entire movie is right at the start. They've landed in, I think it's supposed to be LA, and Okabe is going up to like the border security guard, and they're like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "I am mad scientist. I come to invade and conquer." And then he laughs, and then they throw him in prison. That's the best scene in the whole movie. How long are the episodes? Standard like 22, 24 minute episodes. Probably like 18, 20 if you cut out the opening and ending.
おかわり何か良くない知らせでもあったの電話に出てからなんだかぼーっとしてるから
いや
I have my phone back. Also, Amadeus is back.
そういうわけじゃないんだ
Mayuri was here.
もしかしてまだお正月の気分が抜けないのかにゃ
Yeah, so I think how they made it better, how they filled that in is for Steins Gate Zero. I think they do all endings. And warning for people if you're gonna go watch it, I think they do the endings in a different order than what I'm doing. I'm doing them in the way that makes sense from trying to complete them all from a game point of view. Hello, hero. Can I open Amadeus? Let me try. No. Whereas in the anime, they do the one that makes more thematic sense. But then for the first one, I don't think they do all the endings. I don't think they... I'm trying to think if they even do any of them. I don't think they do. I think they just do the core line, and any of the bad endings they leave out. So they added, I guess, that difference to try and squeeze this game out to be longer. Barris was here. Hello, Mel. How's it going? Thank you for the shout out. Yeah, I saw you switched to Overcooked 2. I'd been lurking in your stream for a good part of the afternoon. So I was interested in that. Yes, I was interested in that game you were playing before because I hadn't heard of it. But yeah. So yes, disclaimer time. Thank you, Samuses. And Valkman, thank you for the follow. So yes, disclaimer time. I play a lot of games that have mature content. If any of these things are not comfortable for you, please find a place that's more comfortable for you today. This game includes themes such as murder, death, suicide, rape, child abuse, death, dismemberment, torture, blood, gore, any of those things against a minor. If any of those things is not something that you are comfortable with, please find somewhere you would rather be comfortable. That would make you feel more comfortable today. If I went too fast and you missed any of those, they are in the description down below. It also contains catgirls. Yes, thank you, Samuses. Yeah, Mel. I play a lot of... I don't know what it is. I play a lot of games that are story-driven and are a bit darker in tone, and we've played through games that are, like, literally about child abuse. It was amazingly well-researched, I'll give them that, but I know my games are not for everyone, and I want to make sure everyone who gets rated in here is comfortable with that, and I know it's not for everyone, so I try and give that disclaimer every time there's a raid coming in. Catgirls are ruining your life. But yes, for the raiders, my name is Popeye. We are playing Steins Gate 0. I guess I should also give this warning. So we're playing Steins Gate 0. This is a sequel game to the original Steins Gate. If you want to play that or watch the anime, and you don't want the spoilers, you should probably get out of here. But the gist of the story is we are a university physics student, and in the first game, we accidentally invent time travel, screw up a bunch of stuff, people die, and at the end of it, we're just like, nope, I can't fix this, I'm out, bro. And now it's like a half a year later, and our character is trying to just move on kind of deal and live with what's happened, but is slowly getting drawn back into things. What have I missed in chat? How am I doing? I'm doing pretty well. Day's been good. Yeah, can't really complain about that. I did not misspell my username. Well, actually, okay. So if we want the story about this, so my username comes from Popeye, like Popeye the Sailor Man. However, when I made my Twitch account, I was advised, and I don't think this would have been an issue just based on things I've seen now, but I was advised that potentially if I use that, there could be copyright issues. But I mean, we have Samus's here, and Nintendo's not coming after you to my knowledge, so I think it would have been fine. But it just kind of stuck after that. And then people call me Pot Pie. Samus's, which came first? You calling me Pot Pie or me calling you Samosas? Which came first? Not yet? Well, maybe we can get to a spot that has good music for what you want to do. And Daru. We could have done without Daru. And Lukako, and Suzuha, and... There we go. Samus's knows the history of the food-related name. Yeah, so I call Samus's samosas, and he has still not had a samosa, so he doesn't understand what being a samosa is like. Maho and Kagari were here too.
この前の疲れが出ちゃったかしら。
この前。
ほら、この前アマデウスのサンプル用に記憶データを取ったでしょ?
Alright, Darwood mentioned that. He said it was at the end of January.
いや、そうじゃないんだ。ちょっと、な。
The girl on the left stole your haircut.
かがり。
Can you sue? I mean, this is currently 2011. Did you have this haircut in 2011?
この時代に来てからの記憶はまだ思い出せないのか? そうか。
どうしたのいきなり。
なんでもない。ただ少し確かめただけだ。
To get Nintendo to come after you?
何それ変なオカリンさん。
Since I'd come from the future, I knew. In this world line, Crusu's memories no longer existed inside Kagari's head.
でも私ね、別にこのままでもいいかなって思ってるんだ。だって ここにはママもいるし、ルカ君やルミお姉ちゃんもいるし、食べ物だっていっぱいあるし、無理に思い出す必要もないんじゃないかって。
そうか。
AM2R? Metroid 2 remake? Or is that just Return? Another Metroid 2 remake. There we go. Maybe that was fine for now, but the future's going to be filled with sorrow. For Mayuri, for Ferris, for Lukako, for Daru, for Suzuha, for Kagari, for Maho. But not for me, because we have the sorrow now. But it didn't run on Linux. Dang it. Did I really make the right choice when I decided to let Krisu die? The Heroes Redeem stretch. So there you go. We'll do a stretch. I guess that gives you time, Samus, to gather some points. Alright. Over there. How's that? There we go. Okay, it's stretching time. Samus Returns was disappointing, very disappointing. See, I've only played the original and Super Metroid. Yeah, that's all I've done. And honestly, so I had played both of those growing up on the NES, and then when they ported a bunch of those games to the Wii store. But I hadn't actually finished them until I met Samus's. Then I went back and beat both of them. Yeah, when is the Dread release date? Did they announce that? Or at least like a quarter? October? That's actually pretty quickly for a new announcement. Releases on your birthday on October 8th? I mean, it sounds like a great birthday present for yourself, then. It's very close to the end of the development cycle. Yeah, I mean, if they're announcing it for that quick a release date, it better be near the end of its development cycle. Alright, there was your stretch. Because, yeah, it's... And, I guess they announced it... What, like late June? Or mid-June, so... July, August, September... So 4 months, that's not a lot of time. After everyone had left and I was alone, all the exhaustion came crashing down on me. I'd time-leaped 3,000 times. I thought I'd be able to work things out in my head along the way. I'd been so desperate to return to the past that I hadn't had time. Yeah, I would imagine you'd have to at least be in beta at this point. At the very least. If not, have already done that and just be, yeah, bug fixing. Yeah. Yeah, like at this point it would be clean up any bugs from beta, clean up any things that don't look as good. Yeah. And now you're here twice. My mind was worn down after all the time leaps. So that's the other thing that the anime has that this doesn't, Samus's, is it has him trying to figure out what the heck am I going to do when I get here. Because, like, in this one, it's almost like, okay, I'm going to do it, and bam, I'm here. But he has that, like, internal monologue of, okay, so I'm doing this, but what do I hope to accomplish? What is my game plan on it? Like, all of that just glossed over here with him just going like, I tried, I don't know, I couldn't think of anything. I thought I'd made my decision, but I found myself wavering again and again. I'd only managed to do it by telling myself that I had to get back before I could make any decision. And now my head just felt so tired. What should I do now? What should I do? For now, I didn't want to think about anything, but I felt too awake to even sleep. Too awake to even sleep. Oh, okay, that's an odd sentence. With everyone gone, the temperature of the lab quickly dropped. It was freezing. But it was nothing compared to the cold I'd felt before. That world I'd seen right after I'd erased Krisu's memories from Kagari. Krisu was there, Mayuri was there, everyone was there. It was a scene from that very brief piece I'd had during that summer. But that world had been so cold. And now I knew why. That was the world I'd experienced when I was asleep, existing only as data. A world built only of zeros and ones. Like being alive even when you're dead. Or being forced to stay alive even though you were dead. People I'd loved were there, but there was no warmth. I could reach out and touch them. There wasn't even a little bit of warmth. It was like floating in deep, dark space without any light at all. Krisu Makise was now experiencing that, too. She was all alone in a cold world without the slightest trace of warmth. Metroid Fusion was announced early in development. The demo they showed for that is vastly different. Yeah, like, and that's the thing. So, like, if you announce something early, if you release it to the public early, you can get feedback earlier, and you have a chance to change direction on it. Probably the most recent example of that would be when they released that Sonic trailer, and everyone's like, Sonic looks disturbing, like, no. And then they changed it for the final movie. But on the other side, by putting it out later, you have this much more polished look of it. It's like a marketing game. You have to decide when you want to do it. How much do you trust your fans to give you like solid advice and criticism, or is it just going to turn people off when they see it? Or breaking the laws of the universe? I mean, I'm fine with it. Maybe Nintendo should start announcing Metroid games several years in advance. Metroid Prime 4. Yeah. I mean, Nintendo usually does announce, like, we're doing this game pretty early. But they don't usually show something off until it's pretty well polished most times. I raised my hand up under the fluorescent light. I could see the veins rising up out of it and the red blood flowing in them. I was alive. There was warmth. But could I really say that I was alive? Now that my memories had been digitized? After being exposed to that cold world, could I still really be called human? I heard a knock at the door and turned my eyes towards it. That's not a knock, you just came in. Maho was standing there. Much like Samus Returns, there's no hint of anything about Dread, it was just sudden and out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen with Nintendo, I find either they're like, yeah, we're doing this, and they announce it like way in advance, but they don't really show it off until it's at a good state, or they show off like a very small amount of like pre-rendered footage, like 30-40 seconds in a Nintendo Direct, or they keep it and then they announce it and like, hey, we're building this game, look at this like 5 minutes of gameplay footage that's basically done already, and there's like no in between.
ちょっと忘れ物をしちゃってね。
忘れ物？
それよりあなたこそ一人で何をしているのかしら？
Maho showed no signs of looking for whatever she had lost. Instead, she came right up and sat down in front of me.
さっきもずっと難しい顔してたわよね。何か気になることでもあるの？
Maybe she'd been worried enough to come back and check on
私
me.
じゃクリスの代わりにはなれないかもしれないけど、それでもよければ話してみて。
いや、ジョーさん。
There's no need to worry about whether I could tell her or not. I needed her to make the time leap machine. For that, she needed to hear
嘘み
everything.
たいな話だが、聞いてくれるか？
まったく、あなたなんて人なの？
That was the first thing she said after I'd finished. Just like last time, it wasn't something that was easy for her to believe. Maho must have sensed something in the way I spoke, because she listened until I finished. She interrupted me whenever there was something she didn't understand. She was especially interested in the time machine and the time leaps. I told her everything I knew about them.
信じてくれるのか？
信じないわけにはいかないでしょ。そんな顔して語られたら。それに実際にこんなものを見せられたら。
いや、ジョーさん。
それにこれで納得がいったわ。前から不思議だったのよ。クリスは秋葉原に来てほとんど日を置かないまま死んでしまった。そんな彼女とあなたがそれほどに仲良くなれたということが、特にあの子のあの性格でしょ。そんな期間にそれも男の人と親しくなるなんてよっぽどのことがあったんじゃないかと思っていたのだけど。
So that was it, she whispered to
そ
herself.
れであなたは何を気にしているの？
I turned away from her.
俺は俺なんだろうか？
どういうこと？
聞いただろう。今の俺の頭の中にある記憶、それは一度データとなってハードディスクの中に保管されていた記憶だ。いわば人工記憶と言ってもいい。そんな俺は果たして俺自身だと言えるんだろうか？生きている、そう言えるんだろうか？
There was blood running through my body. What was in my head had been changed into zeros and ones. Didn't that make me no different than Amadeus?
なんだ、そんなことで悩んでたの？
Let's ask Amadeus. Let's bring that into the conversation. Please, not the existential crisis. See, we've shortened the existential crisis into once, other than him having an existential crisis with every time leap. Maho just laughed at my
あ
worries.
なたは哲学的ゾンビって知ってる？
Okay, we're gonna learn what a philosophical zombie is. A thought experiment proposed by philosopher David Chalmers to explain qualia. Qualia are individual sensory experiences like red, a good smell, or sweet. Yeah, it's actually a useful definition for once. I had no idea what this was. It just sounded like something Chrissy would have made up. A philosophical zombie is someone whose external experience, internal structure, and words and actions mirror a human's, but who lacks these qualia. In this case, we would be unable to distinguish between philosophical zombies and ordinary humans. Okay. So basically, they have an internal experience and can mirror words and actions of a person, a human, but don't have sensory experiences. Interesting.
確か思考実験の一つだろう。姿形から行動に至るまで人間そっくりだが、意識や感情が結合している存在は客観的に人間と区別ができるのかどうかという。
I hesitated a little as I answered her sudden question.
ま、大体合っているわね。
She nodded satisfied, like a teacher would do.
じゃあ仮にここに人間そっくりの外見をした人工知能が存在するとするわよ。人間と同じように振る舞い、同じように行動する。誰かが困っていれば手を差し伸ばし、悲しい時には涙する。これは決められたプロセスなのかもしれないけれど、でもそれは人間だって同じ。個人個人で定められたプロセスに従って考えて反応する。
If it looks like a human and acts like a human, then it's a human. But if it quacks like a human,
私たちはそのプロセスを意識や感情という言葉に置き換えているだけじゃないかしら。
I thought I understood what Maho was trying to say.
AI にだって感情は
Then it just panicked. Exactly.
少なくとも私たち科学者はそういうものを作り出すために日々研究を重ねているつもりよ。
She puffed out her chest with pride.
じゃあ岡部さん、あなたは感情を持った AI は人ではないと思う？
They looked just like a person and thought just like them, and had feelings too. They were a person.
いや
でしょ。そもそも個人を個人たらしめているのは記憶よ。その人が生まれ経験したこと、感じたもの、その集合体が人間なの。だから岡部倫太郎、たとえ一度データになっていても、あなたの記憶と体を持つあなたは紛れもなく人間、岡部倫太郎よ。心配いらない。
ヒアジョーさん、
だいたいクリスの作り出したっていうそのタイムリープマシンだって記憶を一度データ化して還元するものなんでしょ。だったら今さら思い悩むだけ無駄だと思わない？
That was what Daru told me in the future, too. Strangely, when she said it, it made me feel better. That's because no one cares about Daru.
こういう時クリスならもっと的確なことを言えたのかもしれないけど。
いやそんなことないよ。十分だ。
Maho had given her opinion as a brain scientist, but I was still me. There was a strength in her word, just like there had been in Chrissy's when she'd driven me forward. I remembered what Maho had said before.
あなたは天才で、所詮私はサリエリだったってことよ。
She'd been speaking to the memories of Chrissu inside Kagari, but
ヒアジョーさん、君はサリエリなんかじゃない。立派なアマデウスだ。
welcome back, hero. That's right. I'm here right now. I'm alive and here in this time, not in that cold sea of black data. I'm here in this time. A light came on in the darkness. My cold heart began to warm. But... Chrissu, she was still trapped inside that world. You set yourself on fire. Inside that sterile, lifeless world that froze you to the depths of your soul. Even after her death, her memories were still alive. There were all kinds of conspiracies forming around her living memories. Even after she had lost her body, Chrissy's pain continued. Yet, Hero dyed their hair, like, completely red. It's in Beardy's in the... Is it the Friendly Faces channel, I think? Wait, Beardy's got a discotheque? I'm just imagining, like, Beardy doing, like, a death metal cover of, like, Stayin' Alive, and I think that would be amazing. We should totally make this happen. It wasn't just Krisu. Kagari and Suzuha, in the future Mayuri, Ferris, Lukiko, and Daru, too. Everyone was suffering. Everyone was miserable. But still, they tried to move forward. You can do vocals, but not those vocals. All I'd cared about was whether Mayuri survived. I thought that even if the Third World War came, no matter what happened to the world, as long as Mayuri was happy, that was all that mattered. I tried to think that. I thought that no matter how much blood and tears awaited us in the future, as long as things were fine now, that was all that mattered. I thought I'd understood. I thought I'd understood how awful the future that Suzuha described was. Also a cover of September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. And how hard Daru and Suzuha would have to fight. I thought I understood all that. Suzuha firing her gun and staining her hands with blood like it was nothing. Mayuri and Ferris, pale and colorless. Lukiko lying on the ground and never getting up again. Kagari and the others, whose lives were ruined by fate. I'd seen them with my own eyes and touched them with my own hands. And then, I finally understood. I'd been only pretending to know so I could run away. I'd told myself that I was going to die in 2025, and looked the other way. 2025. I wasn't dead. Everyone just thought so. Everyone had been deceived. That's right, deceived, I say. Me in the past, and everyone else in the future. The world was deceived. I thought the future was settled, but a different future awaited me.
シュタインズゲート世界線への道は険しい。一度や二度やり直したところでたどり着ける道ではないだろう。
I mean, I feel like we go over the time travel every stream, and it still makes our brains hurt. And they just wanted an excuse to be like, I drew a handsome Squidward-faced Daru, please have another look at him.
僕たちがいるこの世界も無駄じゃない。きっと必要な世界なのだ。少なくとも今の僕はそう思ってる。
Yeah, but now you get to understand it to upbeat music. I had no way of knowing what would make me say that 14 years from now. All I knew was that 14 years from now, I would know this day was coming. So maybe I should do what I said. That future in 2036 was necessary. Maybe a world where Krisu is released from her electronic prison was necessary too. No matter how hard the path would be, I had to take the first step. And what I needed right now was that first step.
ヒヤジョーさん、
何？
アメリカに帰る前にもう少し付き合ってもらえるか？
そうね。条件が2つあるわ。
条件？
一つはこのタイムマシンを調べさせてほしいってこと。
もう一つは
あなたのことオカリンさんって呼ばせてもらう。あなたは私をマホって呼びなさい。悪くない条件だと思うけど。
There was an innocent smile on her face, the likes of which I'd never seen before.
マホ。
よろしく、オカリンさん。
She put her small hand against mine. I felt a solid warmth.
どうしたんだにゃ、オカリン。一度帰った後にわざわざ呼び出すにゃんて。
Did we call you? I don't have phone logs, so like I guess maybe. We didn't rhyme you.
そうだよ。僕なんてそれほど近いわけじゃないんだからさ。話があるなら帰る前に言ってほしかったのだぜ。
I'd called all the lab members back after they'd left to go home, and they weren't happy.
それで、お話って何かな、オカリン。 LINE や電話じゃダメなお話ですか？
ああ。その前に、鈴葉、
何？
一つ聞きたい。お前は俺のことをどう思っている？
どうとは？
オカリン、まさか。
Shut up, Daru. It's not a confession.
いくらオカリンでも鈴葉はあげらんないよ。お父さんは認めません。ダメ、絶対。
I ignored Daru, who seemed to have gotten the wrong idea completely, and turned back towards
お
Suzuha.
前はこの半年、俺のことを見ていたはずだ。その上で、心の中ではどう思っていた？率直な言葉を聞かせてほしい。
言っていいのか？
ああ。
正直言うと腹が立ってしょうがなかった。
Yeah, that was honest. I chuckled.
私や父さんやまゆ姉さんだけじゃない。ルミ姉さんもルカ兄さんもカガリも、未来の世界ではみんな辛い思いをしている。明日は生きているかどうかもわからない。母さんみたいに無残に殺されてしまうかもしれない。そんな世界で必死になって生きてるんだ。それなのに弱音ばかり吐いて自分ばかりが辛いようなことを言って。
When she started talking, she didn't stop. This must have been building up for a long time.
もちろんオカリンおじさんが辛い経験をしてきたことは知ってる。何度も苦しい目にあって、それで立ち上がれなくなったことだって知ってる。それでも私たちにはオカリンおじさんしか頼れる人がいないんだ。
She looked down, clenched her fists, and grit her teeth.
私や父さんに代わりが務まるのならどんなことでもやる。どんな辛い思いをしようが、どんな苦しみが待ち構えていようが、それでも何だってやる。
鈴葉。
だけど私たちじゃどうしようもできないから。オカリンおじさんじゃなければどうにもできないから。
She suddenly looked up, and I could see on her face all the complicated feelings she'd been holding back.
それなのにおじさんと来たら無理だとかできないとか勘弁してくれとか、そんな弱音ばかりで話を聞いてくれようとさえしない。父さんの手前だから言わなかったけど、私はそんなおじさんの態度にずっと腹が立ってた。本当にぶん殴ってやりたいくらいだったよ。
Probably felt good to get that off her chest.
鈴葉、何もそこまで言わんでも。
そうだにゃ、オカリンだって分かってるんだにゃ。
I did understand, yeah. I understood that something had to be
だった
done.
ら、そうしてもらおうか。
Oh yeah, we're getting punched in the face.
そうするとは？
殴りたかったんだろう。だったら、殴ってみればいい。
でも
遠慮はいらない。
すずさん、やめて。オカリンは。
いいんだ、マユリ。
This was my way of settling things, and my way of probably dying. With Suzuha, with the future, and with
オ
myself.
カリンさん。
もしかしてそういう性癖
Gosh dang it,
だけはごめ
Daru!
んけど。
本当にいいんだな。
Suzuha took a step towards me.
あ
I was ready.
じゃあ本気で行く。
あ、いや、待て。少しは手加減を。
せい。
ハグボア。
She hit me hard enough to knock me across the room.
悪かった。少し力が入りすぎた。今すごい音したわよ。大丈夫、オカリン。
Everyone ran over and looked down at me. Yeah, that hurt a lot. Probably did more damage to my brain than reading Steiner the time leaps. But...
Okabe-san...
it woke me up. Now I just had to do what I could. Which is apparently just laugh maniacally.
Oka-rin?
Oh hey, Luca's not dead. Yep.
もしかして、京馬？おかりん？
違うぞ、まゆり。法院。
We're back!
京馬さん！
そうだ我が名は法院京馬ラボメンナンバー001このラボの創設者にして混沌を望み世界の支配構造を覆すマッドサイエンティスト法院京馬だ
Bring back Daru?
ルカ子
はい
白衣を持て
はい京馬さん京馬が復活したにゃー父さん
Miss Goth Okabe.
やったな鈴葉ようやくオカリンがやる気になったのだぜ
京馬さんどうぞ
む
I put my lab coat on for the first time in a very long time. It had been sitting on the shelf in the back so long it smelled a little moldy.
そうこれだこれこそが我が聖なる白金の鎧今この時
I love how it's from behind so they don't have to be like, he's still wearing his, like, black suit and black button-up shirt. Oh yes, and then Maho and Kigari have never seen this part of us before. They're just like, should we be, like, leaving now? Like, should we call the police? An ambulance? Like, is he okay? Kigari and Maho were seeing Kyoma Hoenn for the first time. They were shocked into silence.
なんなの殴られたショックでおかしくなったの思い出したえ法院京馬ママがいつも言ってた名前いつかきっと法院京馬が復活して私たちの未来を照らしてくれるっていやちょっとついていけないんですけど
おいそこのロリッコ
あ
お前だお前
もしかして私のことを言ってるんじゃないでしょうね
I think we're gonna punched a second time in about 3 seconds.
この間にロリッコといえばお前しかいないだろう
誰がロリッコよ誰が
貴様にはラボメンナンバー009の栄誉を与える以後この法院京和の手足とも俺たちのオペレーションに参加するがいい
なんで私があなたの手足にならなきゃいけないのよそれにそのラボメンナンバーって何
名前の通りこのラボの正式メンバーに選ばれた証だ光栄に思う
光栄にって
それから椎名係貴様もラボメンナンバー010だ分かったな
Hey, we finally hit double digits. I mean, he planned for 999. Oh, don't worry, Samus. I hate it too. I wish he could, like, have had this realization and still have been his normal self. Like, honestly, I don't know the reason why he has to, like, revert to this personality. Ferris and Lukako seemed upset. Come to think of it, I'd made them lab members in the Alpha World line, but not this one.
言っていなかったか。もちろんお前たちはすでにラボメンだ。ルカコは006、フェイリスは007、そして鈴葉は008。いいな。
I love how Ferris's eyes become the uwu when she's 007.
よくわからないけど了解した。
なあオカリン、それおかしくね？それじゃあ004と005が不在じゃん。その2つには戦略があるんだな。
For Krisu and Moeka. To be honest, I didn't like the idea of leaving Moeka as an official lab member. But in order to reach a future where that could be true, I would have to face the past right now. That was my decision.
では全員が揃ったところで改めて宣言する。本日2011年1月31日をもって新たなるオペレーションを発動する。目的は予定された未来の粉砕、世界の未来そのものを覆すこと。それが俺たちの目的だ。
Please declare your unfortunate demise.
俺だ。
No, we just have to talk to herself now.
これより俺たちは
With Animal Crossing music in the background.
未来の俺は言った。いくつもの未来のその先にシュタインズゲートは待っていると。これから導く未来がたとえ茨の道だとしてもきっと無駄なものではないはずだ。わかっている。俺たちの目指す扉、そこにたどり着くには途方もない時間がかかるだろう。いかなる機関が俺たちを阻止せんと立ちふさがるかもしれない。それでも俺は何度だってやり直してやるさ。健闘を祈ってくれ。エル、ブサイ、コングロー。
Mom was like, I shouldn't have promised to stay here. Just should have gone back to America. After I finished my phone call, I realized that everyone was staring at me. Please don't look at me that way. I'm embarrassed too. Then don't do it!
それ
これはいわばそう儀式のようなものだ。
儀式ね。
A lot more humans than you remember in Animal Crossing. Yes, this was a ceremony to stop my fears from getting the best of me again.
まさかオカリンさん
Also, because my head's there, we're now in February.
もそんな態度だったんじゃないでしょうね。
岡部ではない。今日まだ。
ふざけているの。
マホタン、あんま突っ込むのやめてあげて。オカリンもまだ模索してる最中だから。
はあ、そっか、これが法王院京馬さんなんだね。そうだよ、狂気のマッドサイエンティストさんなのです。いにしえのアルケミストの生まれ変わりでもあるのにゃ。
Okay, we're learning about alchemy now. Alchemy, fiction and conspiracy theories, a technology that allows for any kind of material, even the human body and soul, to be changed into another. However, the principle of equivalent exchange must be observed. Real alchemists existed in medieval Europe where they tried to use chemical methods to create precious metals. The techniques they developed become the foundation of modern chemistry. See, medieval European alchemists just didn't know about equivalent exchange. That was the real problem. That's why you couldn't turn lead into gold. You know, sacrifice your brother and you got some gold, right?
精神残魔流の師範でもあるんですよ。すごい。ダメだ、父さん。私、 ついていけない。
Please don't stare at me like that. It's breaking my heart.
それで具体的にはどうするつもりなの？
まず最初に言っておくが、俺たちが最終的に目指すのは
This is still the same ending from last
起
stream.
こらない未来だ。
We've just come back from the future to the past. Just like I told myself a second ago, I didn't expect to get to the world line we wanted, the Steins Gate world line, immediately. Yes, Samuses, this is an ending. Remember the image I sent you when I was trying to describe it last time? This is the one that's like the bottom left. I just had to build up to the past beta world line little by little. I'd have to go through many pasts and many futures. And to do that, I first had to write this world line's future. Bottom 3. This world had lost Karisu, and the price for that was dire indeed. But I wouldn't let the future that awaited us be so full of suffering and pain. I wouldn't let that happen. Everything had to begin with that, even if the future before us would end up never having happened at all. That was my responsibility since I had chosen this world.
このベータ世界線においても、俺が何度か世界線の変動を経験してきたことは説明したな。まずはその原因を取り除かなければならない。
原因って何なのよ？
マキセ・クリスのノート PC とハードディスク、そしてアマデウスに残るクリスの記憶。
The time machine paper contained on the hard disk and all our memories relating to it. All of those world line changes. It was safe to assume they'd been caused by Stratfor and others fighting over
故
them.
にクリスのノート PC とハードディスクの破棄、並びにクリスの記憶のデータを消去すること、これが今回のオペレーションの最終目的となる。
クリスのデータを消去？そんな本気なの？
ああ、
でもあの記憶はクリスが生きていた証なのよ。あの子がこの世界で私たちと同じ時間を過ごしたっていう証拠なのよ。私は消去なんてしてほしくない。
I knew how she felt. Until a few days ago, I would have agreed.
君はクリスの記憶が悪用されてもいいというのか？
それは
俺たちのいるこの世界線に至るまでのいくつかの過去において、あいつの記憶は争いの種になってきた。それに多くの人間が巻き込まれている。そこにいるカガリだってそうだ。
What happened to Kagari in the past several years, that probably hadn't changed in this world line. And this was just another tragedy caused by the Pandora's box that was Karisu's memories. Pandora's box! A box given to mankind by the gods in Greek mythology. We were told never to open it, but a girl named Pandora let her curiosity get the best of her and opened it anyway. The box was filled with disasters, all of which were unleashed upon the world. It said that the one thing that remained in the box was hope. Why are these endings so long? I thought you cursed us to make them long.
世界を経験して知った。あの世界の冷たさをな。
That's right, I knew. I knew how cold that world was. It was a world inside a tiny box with no past, present, or future.
それほどまで暗く冷たい世界。
So we can just blame Hero for this.
君は平気なのか？それにあいつが生きていたという証は俺たち自身のここにある。
I put my finger to my
俺たち
head.
が覚えていること、そしてその上で第三次世界大戦の起きない平穏な世界へと導くこと、それこそが あいつが生きていた
Just like you also broke Beardy's car. I didn't know he broke his car. I knew... Wait, so he's having to replace his car and he just replaced his computer? Hero, how could you do that to him, breaking his computer and his car? Maho fell silent as the whole group turned toward her.
陳腐なセリフね。それこそクリスが
You
聞い
just
ていたら
posted about it
笑
5
われるわ
minutes ago. That explains why I haven't seen it.
だろうな。
だけど陳腐だと思えることにほど
Well, good thing he already took dibs on your house, so I mean, that part's easy. Maho's dark frown became a
あ
smile.
なたに従うわ。
ありがとう。ダル、クリスの PC とハードディスクはお前が持っているんだよな。
うん、マホタンから預かって簡単には見つからんところに隠してる。
He only took dibs on a single corner in a house that you called dibs on? Hello, Butler. How is it going? You're here to get back at me for all those hydrates, are you? How big is this thing? It's probably about a liter. It's what, like one, just under a third of a gallon?
それはアマデウスの件が終わったらすぐに破棄。
So, if Beardy just has a single corner in your house, is he basically like your pet? You give your pet that like one corner? Mine are too expensive. I think I also have a 5-minute cooldown, and then they're limited to 10 a stream. Okay, we got another stretch from Hero. Because of the infamous MDS Beardy War of 2021, I'm not sure we'll be able to live under the same roof. I mean, you can live under the same roof. You just have to do the thing where like you take the tape and you're like, you can't cross this line. This is my part of the house. But he did claim your TV and your pool. Oh yes, I own your dog. I forgot. I'm sorry, I haven't been feeding your dog, so I'm not sure what's happened to your dog. I don't think you posted a picture of your car, otherwise we might have claimed it. Part of the curse he put on you means that you can never see him again. To me, that just means that he just turns invisible. That's the solution I see. We're trading cars now. Oh, is your car still in the shop? Is that the problem? Or no, didn't you just get your car out of the shop? Alright, there is the stretch. You even sent multiple offers for your car because people really want it. You're waiting to drop the burnout clutch after the trade.
本当にいいん?
You look back at Moho, and this time she nodded.
でもそれは私にやらせて。
OK.
The problem now is Amadeus. I mean, easy solution. If I delete Amadeus from my phone, it's just gone, right? That's how technology works.
マホ、アマデウスのあるサーバー
That's how I deleted Internet Explorer. It doesn't exist anymore. Swap keys, get in the car, start the engine while you're driving away. Shout, by the way, it's undrivable because the clutch is destroyed.
ええ、できるはずよ。橋田さん、ちょっと PC を貸してもらえる？
I mean, I would rather have the new shocks because I've never driven a manual before, so Daru motions for her to stop with one hand, and started typing something onto the keyboard.
何をしてるんだにゃダルニャン。
一応 IP がバレないよう厳重に細工を。
And brakes and headlights and tires and an oil change and a frame and seats and an engine and okay, we're going to learn about IP. Officially Internet Protocol. However, the term IP is often mistakenly used to describe an IP address. An IP address is essentially an ID number given to a computer to allow it to exchange information via the internet or a LAN. The Internet Protocol is the methods and standards used to exchange that information. See, Samus, I can't remember who it was. I was driving someone, and the car we had before this had manual windows. And I was driving someone, and they were like, "What are those?" And I had to be like, "Do you not know what a manual window is? You have to crank it, like, reet, reet, reet." They had never seen manual windows before, and I was like, "Dang, I feel so old now." Enjoy your food, Lurk. Maho took over from Daru at the computer.
おかしいわ。アクセスできない。
どういうことだ？
パスワードが間違ってるってことは？
そんなミスするわけないでしょ。今まで何度も入力してきたんだから。
Maho tried the password a few more times, but she still couldn't access the server.
私のアクセス権限自体が停止されちゃってるみたい。どういうことなのこれ。ちょっと教授に電話してみる。
Maho took out her phone and called Dr. Leskinen. Linux is called automatic Windows. She put the phone next to her ear for a moment, then frowned and put it down.
ダメ。繋がらない。
She tried calling Dr. Reyes too. That didn't work either.
もう、どうなってるのよこれ。
98 Jeep had automatic windows and literally the most comfortable seats you could find in a car.
やはり
I've never
そう簡単に
understood
はいかないか。
people who like leather seats. I hate them, especially in summer when I just feel like I stick to them all the time. And yeah, like why? Maho's access rights have been taken away. Must have meant someone was about to do something.
別のアプローチ方法を探ってみよう。ビクトル・コンドリア大学のサーバーにハッキングできるか？
OK、ちょっとやってみる。
Hacking only takes a second. Remember,
簡単
guys.
に言ってるけど、うちの研究所のセキュリティ結構厳しいわよ。
I'm glad they have the ASCII art for their university server.
大丈夫だ。なんたってダルはスーパーハッカーだからな。
それを言うならスーパーハッカーな。
He broke concerned security in just 20 hours. I had absolute faith in him. Daru and Maho were staring at the screen and discussing something. He was probably asking her for details to make his hacking more efficient. I needed to do what I could while I waited. I went back into the development room and opened up a box that had just arrived that day. Mayuri looked over my shoulder into the box.
電子レンジちゃんだ。
唐揚げは解凍しないからな。
残念。みんながお腹空いたらジューシー唐揚げナンバーワンを振る舞ってあげようと思ったのに。
First, I needed to reconstruct the phone wave. That, to have Maho help me make the time leap machine. On my way back from the future, I'd memorized every bit of how it worked, so it didn't take very long.
橋田さん、あなたすごいわ。
It was about 30 minutes later when I heard Maho's odd voice.
やったのか？
僕にかかればこれくらい朝飯前だぜ。
スーパーハッカーの名は伊達じゃないな。じゃあ早速アマデウスのデータを探してくれ。
待って、今開いて。
I swallowed and looked at the screen as I listened to the mouse click.
ない。アマデウスもクリスの記憶データもあったはずのフォルダからなくなってるわ。
すでに持ち出されたということか。待てよ。
I unlocked my phone, called up the home screen. Amadeus's icon was still there.
このアプリからアマデウスにアクセスできると思うか。
Maho looked over at my
どうかし
phone.
ら。アマデウスのデータそのものがサーバーに残ってないならさすがに無理なんじゃ。試してみて。どうしたの？
Food.
いざ繋がった時のことを考えるとな。
What is the food choice for tonight?
そうね。誰かに見られているかもしれない。
ん？
どうしたダル？
ここ、さらに鍵がかけられてるフォルダがある。
どれ？
Maho leaned forward and stared at the monitor. You have a farito and refried beans. That sounds yummy.
変ね。こんなフォルダ今までなかったわ。
かなり厳重なセキュリティがかかってるっぽい。さっきのとは比にならんくらい。
アマデウスはそっちに移されたのかしら。でも一体誰が？そんな権限を持っているのはレスキネン教授ぐらいよ。
レスキネン教授には裏の顔があったか、あるいは教授の身に何かあったか。
You're scared to go downstairs, though? Why, what's downstairs? Or are you just worried that Samus has done something with your house since he owns it now? Neither possibility was appealing.
そのフォルダは一旦保留だ。次はストラト4のサーバーにハックを仕掛けてくれ。
え？ストラト4ってなんでストラト 4？
おそらく今回の騒動の一端を担っているはずだ。以前ハックしたことがあるから簡単だろう。
つかオカリ、なんでそんなことまで知ってんの？エスパーかよ。
俺を誰だと思っている。
Ah, I
狂気の
understand.
マッドサイエンティストは全てお見通しだ。
Although Beardy as a stepdad is also kind of terrifying. Give me a sec, he said, as he typed something else into the
ストラト
computer.
4のサーバーはと。
I could tell he'd done it once before. This time he got through a lot faster than it took him to break into the university.
そのアマデウスっつうシステムのデータを探せばいいんだよね。
ちょっと待って。
Maho leaned her tiny body forward and took the mouse from Daru. She clicked on an icon. The screen filled up with some kind of text.
レポートだわ。
She opened several more files, but since they were written in English, we couldn't read them.
これは
一体何のレポートなんだ？
実験よ。ストラト4が行っていた人体実験。
人体実験？
どうやらストラト4は記憶の移植実験を行っていたみたいね。誰かの記憶データを別人に移し定着させる実験をいくつも行っているわ。
Memory transplant experiments. That was...
最初こそ動物を使っていたようだけど、最終的には生身の人間で行われてる。被験者には身寄りのない人を利用したみたい。大人から子供まで人種も様々。
He looked down at the report again.
どうした？まだ何かあるのか？
どうやら彼ら記憶移植に関する新しい実験に着手しようとしてるみたい。
It was safe to assume the experiments had something to do with the time machine. They were trying to force open the black box of Chrissy's memories in order to gain information about the time machine. Even if they couldn't get the password for the laptop from Amadeus, they could access her memories directly. It would give them everything they needed. It was just like what had been done to Kagari in the last world line, but on a more advanced level.
とにかく今はクリスの記憶データを探すのが先決だ。ダル、データはありそうか？
Took the mouse back from Maho and sighed.
ないね。それらしいもんは見当たらない。
What was going on? Hadn't Stratfor stolen the Amadeus data from Victor Condria?
一番怪し
He's
い
your
のは
other
や
stepdad?
っぱ大学のサーバーじゃね？あのプロテクトがかかってたとこ。
Which meant that they were working without stealing the data? Did they hack it just like we did, or...?
どうする？
魔法を信じよう。ダル、侵入できるか？
できるけど、これはちょっと骨が折れると思われ。
どれくらいかかりそうだ？
わからんけど、下手したらまるっと半日以上はかかるかも。
Daru said so. It must have been really heavily protected.
しかも途中でハッキングかけてるのがバレたら全部おじゃん。
We needed to hack in to get rid of Chrissy's memory data. Until Daru finished, we need to keep Stratfor distracted. Problem was, how?
アマデウスと通信している最中は、こっちの位置情報はどうなるんだ？
全部把握されるわ。当然アマデウスのプログラムを持っている連中にもね。
I thought so.
問題はアマデウスにつながるかどうか。
First, I needed to see if the app even worked anymore. It did. I had an idea.
一つ無茶な頼みをしていいか？
We like crazy suggestions. A full day had passed since the operation began. Daru still hadn't managed to break the lock on that folder. Thankfully, they hadn't detected him yet, but that didn't mean we were safe. While Daru did his work, I finished my own, and then handed the rest off to Maho. My actions might have changed the future already, but we still had to do our jobs. Suzuha had her arms crossed, expression stern. She had been that way for a while. At a glance, she looked calm, but I could see her tapping her arm with her index finger.
おじさん、私たちにできることはないの？
We were finally ready to stop the Third World War. It had to bother her that there was nothing she could do. It had to be stopped as soon as possible, but all she could do now was wait. She was frustrated and on edge. But that was true of everyone
もう少
else.
しだ。ダルもマホも頑張ってくれている。
Once Maho completed what I'd asked for, there would be something we could do
セイ
too.
リス、甘いものとか買ってくるにゃ。疲れた時には甘いものが一番にゃ。あ、それじゃあ僕も。
Get everyone hyped up on sugar. Sounds like a good idea. Just as the two of them stood up, the development room's curtain opened. Maho flinched a little as everyone stared at her, but she quickly smiled. Then she thought better of it and tried to look more serious.
まったく。大変なことをいっぺんに頼まないでよね。
すまん。それで終わったのか？
言われたことは一応ね。
The microwave in the back was connected to a different headset than the one I'd seen last year. It was the same one she'd used to take my memories. That's why she'd been able to finish this in such a short time. Time leap machine. So it was done then. Now, even if I had to time leap from the future, I could go back to 48 hours
そ
from
れか
now.
らこっちも。
She offered me a pair of smartphones. These gadgets would be our secret weapons in the upcoming battle. I had Maho make them too. They used a simple AI to create a pseudo-response algorithm that would deceive our opponents.
さすがだな。こんな短時間に。
Can this one tell me the time for once? I like that feature in a phone.
自分で頼んでおいてよく言うわ。
Her face looked
アマデ
exhausted.
ウスで使っている音声ソフトがあったから流用して開発期間を短縮したの。それにこれは AI なんて大層な代物じゃない。こんなものでごまかせるのかしら。相手はクリスなのよ。
少しの時間だけでも騙せればそれでいいんだ。ダルのハッキングから連中の目をそらせればそれでいい。
And an adult beverage. Water is the most adult of all beverages. The goal was just to keep Stratfor confused. We didn't need to hold a long conversation. We just hook it up for a short while and then end the call shortly after. It was time to get started, but first, we had to take a selfie. I was hoping I could open my new smartphone. Oh, here we go. I hit the send button on a message I'd already typed to Mocha Kiryu. Okay. Once it was done, I turned toward the group.
作戦の概要を説明する。
Suzuha, Mayuri, Ferris, Lukiko. I offered them the phones that I'd just been given by
4
Maho.
人には2人1組になってもらう。そうしたらこのスマホを持って都内を動き回ってくれ。ペア同士はできるだけ離れた方がいいな。片方の組は中央線沿線、もう片方は山手線沿線ということでしょう。お互いに連絡を取り合いつつ、スマホにインストールされているアマデウスというアプリを立ち上げてくれ。
While Dara was doing his hacking, I'd left Akihabara and tried to contact Amadeus from Tokyo Station. And it had worked. Chriso had responded. I'd cut it off instantly, but I was sure of it. The app was still working, and this plan was going to use it.
立ち上げてどうするの？
アマデウスはマキセ・クリスという人物の記憶をもとに作られた人工知能だ。俺たちは今からそいつを騙す。
That's right, our goal was to deceive Kurisu. When we contacted Amadeus, the enemy would know where we were. My plan was to take advantage of that
アマ
fact.
デウスを立ち上げると同時にもう一つのプログラムが起動する。
もう一つのプログラムってなんだにゃ？そこの S ってマークのあるアイコンをタップしてみてもらえる？これかにゃ？
Ferris tapped her phone.
俺だ。
オカリンの声だ。
話しかけてみてくれ。
今日はどうしたんだにゃ？
特に用はないんだ。少し話がしたくなってな。
すごい。自動的に答えてくれるんですね。
What I'd asked Maho to make was a simple program that detected words and phrases in a conversation and replied with set patterns. You could call it an artificial
オ
non-intelligence.
カリンさんと私のボット。名付けてサリエリよ。
Thanks to the famous movie, Salieri was known as a lesser man with an inferiority complex. In reality, he was a very talented composer. It felt a bit rude to the real Salieri to give his name to something like this, but there wasn't time to worry about
アマ
that
デウ
now.
スを起動すると俺たちのボット
How is it you can give a decent name to a program that you made in literally a day? You've had the phone wave name subject to change for like 6 months of actual time and years of going back and forth using time travel, and you still can't come up with a good name for it.
つまり相手に今喋っているのは岡部さんだって思わせるということですか？
そういうことだ。
Which meant Amadeus would think I was where they were. Would have liked to have more terminals. Since Amadeus needed the cell phone to be registered with its systems, there weren't many I could use. All I had were my phone and Maho's, but for a short time period it would be enough. Of course, Maho's phone had her own version of Salieri. Then there was the message I'd sent to Moaka's Rhyme. The plan was for her to spread information indicating that Maho and I had Krisu's laptop and hard drive. You just would have called it the best time machine? Even if they were doing the memory experiments, they still wouldn't want someone else getting their hands on them. sooner or later they'd pick up on that information and come after me with everything they had. Amadeus was in their hands. If Amadeus's location data told them I was there, they would come looking. Oh, the Bast. I get it. And then they'd get a call from someplace completely different and head there. The plan was to keep them occupied with that and to keep their eyes off the server hacking.
以上が今回の任務となる。
Everyone nodded.
アマデウスとの長時間の接触は厳禁だ。それからアマデウスを切った後はすぐにその場を移動すること。何かあったらすぐに連絡をよこすこと。これだけは絶対に守ってくれ。わかったな。
私はどうすればいいのかな。
Kagari raised her hand
君
hesitantly.
は連中に顔も知られている。ここから動かない方がいい。
でも私だって何か役に立ちたいよ。ママやみんなが頑張ってる中で一人何もできないでいるなんてそんなの嫌だよ。
To the Bass Minecraft tracker. Well, this was a
お
problem.
願い、ホカリンさん。私にも手伝わせて。
I understood how she felt, but I still couldn't put her in
すま
danger.
ないが
かがりちゃん。アユシーがかがりちゃんの分まで頑張るよ。だからオカリンの言う通りにして。
Yeah, you take care of yourself, Irish. Yeah, everyone take care of yourselves. Have water. And we'll have a third stretch. There we go. I think my stretch thing might stop at 3. I think that might be the maximum. I think it's 3. I think it's 3 with a half-hour cooldown, I think. Actually, you're a mod. Can you check? You can redeem another one to know. Okay, maybe I just put it with like a half-hour cooldown. No cooldown either? I swear I had one. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I'll look into that after stream. Because that one should... Yeah, it doesn't let you bypass. So that one should, Juggle should, and Hydrate should. They should all have both a redeem limit and a time limit. Oh, you can't look at them? You can only pause them. Okay, got it. Makes sense. So I'll have to look at those after stream then. I thought for sure I had limits on them. Alright, there's your stretch. Actually, can I, before I head back, can I see what that looks like from here? No, I'll deal with that after. Okay. And yes, enjoy your lurk, Samuses. That seemed to be good enough for her.
おじさん、かがりには全てが終わるまでどこかに隠れさせておくべきじゃないか。
そうだな。だがどこに？
We're going to hide her. It'd have to be at Luco's house or Ferris's place.
なんなら僕の隠れ家にでも行く？
隠れ家？お前そんなもの持ってるのか？
バイト用にいくつかあるんよ。 そこでよければどうぞ。
よし、決まりだ。かがりもそれでいいか。
わかった。
The issue was that I couldn't leave Kagari alone.
私にも何かやらせてもらえませんか？
え？
I turned around and saw that at some point Yuki had entered the
ゆ
room.
きさん。橋田さんからここの鍵預かっていたので。
She showed us the key in her hand apologetically.
その昨べ橋田さんに連絡したらなんだか大変そうだったから差し入れようと思って持ってきたんだけど。
She put the key away and then showed us a bag with the logo of a local cake shop on it.
事情はよくわかりませんが、
You should have brought him something healthier than cake.
でもさ、天音氏を巻き込むわけには。
いや、かがりと一緒にいてもらうだけだ。問題ないだろう。
Before I thought that it was maybe Yuki who'd attacked the lab. Looking back, that was wrong. She was the woman in the motorcycle suit. There was no need to do something so elaborate. You could have just used the fact that she was in the same circle as Kagari to invite her somewhere and kidnap her. There was no need to take the risk of attacking the lab.
すまなかった。じゃあ、ゆきさんはかがりと一緒にいてくれ。すべてが終わるまでダルの隠れ家に身を潜めてもらうことになる。場所はダルに聞いてくれ。事情は落ち着いたら教える。
わかりました。
Yuki nodded. Now everything was ready. I looked around at everyone in the lab.
じゃあ、みんな、あとは手はず通りに。
待っておかり。お別れ言わなくていいの？クリスさんに。
Goodbye? Amadeus was an artificial intelligence. He was an artificial being, not Krisu herself.
ちゃんとお別れして後悔しないように。
Mayuri handed back the phone I'd just given her.
そうだな。悪いがここで少し待っていてくれるか。
I left Mayuri and Lukiko behind, went to Akihabara Bridge. If I made contact with Amadeus, she'd know where I was. That's why I'd chosen this place. This was the first place I'd let Krisu see how weak I was, back when everything seemed at its darkest. An advertising van passed by, blaring jaunty opera music at a loud volume that clashed horribly with its flashy paint job. I waited for it to get out of earshot before I tapped the Amadeus icon. She showed herself immediately.
ずいぶんと久しぶりね。
そうだな。
私のことなんて忘れたんだと思ってたわ。
I hadn't forgotten. I could never forget.
いろいろあってな。
How many goodbyes had I said now? I said goodbye to her again and again. I'd never gotten used to it.
それで今日はどうしたの？
君に聞きたいことがあったんだ。
何？またタイムマシンは作れるかって話？冗談。続けて。
もしもだ。もしも自分の命と引き換えに友達の命を救えるとしたら、君ならどうする？
質問の意図がよくわからないんだが。
答えてほしい。
You must have been able to tell from my words and expression that I was serious, but she took on a serious expression as well.
その友達は大切な人なのよね。
ああ、
私にはまだやりたいことがたくさんあるわ。やらなければならないこともある。でもそれでももしもその友人や周りの人が幸せになるというのなら、甘んじて受け入れるかもしれない。
Krisu.
ごめんなさい。 実際にそんな目にあったことないし、想像でしかないから確実なことは言えないけど、それでも一人でも私のことを覚えていてくれる人がいるなら、忘れないでいてくれる人がいるなら。とにかく私のことは忘れることは、今日あったこともこれまであったことも、それが私の望みだから。
忘れるものか。
Never.
俺は決して忘れない。
This was a vow. Vow to get me through the time to come.
岡部さん、
つまらないことを聞いて悪かった。
それは構わないけど、何かあったの？
いや、なんでもないんだ。なんでも。それじゃあまたな。
待って。
え？
なんだか二度と会えなくなりそう。
Welcome sort of back, Deadbeard.
そんなことはないさ。
そうよね。
I heard Hero jinxed your car.
急にそんな風に思ったんだろう。
I will have to read what happened.
会えるさ、必ず。
That's right, this wasn't goodbye forever. I'd see her again. So I won't say goodbye. Until I see you again. Chrisu. Got no idea how long it will take, but I'm going to reach you. I promise. Stream's been going well. Didn't get to where you need to go. I forgot about outside tech. I mean, like, what's the outside? No one knows what the outside is. I went back to Mayuri and Lukako and gave them the phone.
お別れは済んだ？
ああ、それじゃあ頼んだぞ。
I watched them disappear into the crowded station and went back to the lab. That band was still playing its loud music as it drove down the street. 5 hours had passed since the operation had begun. The only sound in the room was of Daru's fingers on the keys.
どうだ、ダル。
You're sad eating noodles watching me in the lounge.
今のところ気づかれてはないと思われ。
まだかかりそうか。
早くても3時間くらいは。
Guess it wasn't going to be easy after all. Daru must have been exhausted, but he was still working. Mayuri and the others were sending me regular messages, is what I would say if I could open my phone. Mayuri had paired off with Lukako, and Ferris with Suzuha. Since they knew each other so well, they were doing a great job of working together and running around Tokyo. Get out of the goat pen or I'll bring out the sad noodles again. Suzuha had told me that she'd seen shady-looking people several times. Moak had sent me a message saying that they'd taken the bait. For now, the operation was succeeding without anyone getting hurt. But I didn't expect it to last forever. I wanted to get Chrissy's memory data deleted as fast as possible. But in the end, my only choice was to rely on Daru.
すまないな。
I can't tell if my brain's dying or if they misspelt rely.
それは言わない約束だろ。
I remembered how he looked 25 years in the future. check. Let's see, is my brain dying or can I not spell? If I'm putting money on it, I would put money on the latter, but let's take a look. No, my brain just dying. It's spelled correctly. He can't place... Even in that far distant future, he was still my friend.
オカリンさん、ちょっといい？
Until a little bit ago, Maho had been resting to recover from her exhaustion, but at some point she must have gotten up.
どうした？
これ、見て。
She handed me a stack of papers. There's a printout of Stratfor's report. She must have been looking at it after she'd woken up.
これは？
ストラト4によって被刑者としてリストアップされた人たちの名前よ。
There were rows of names, sexes, and ages, and other information.
ここ。
She pointed her small finger at one of the names. It said, Sheena Kagari. Deadbeard's name actually originated from when, immediately after Beardy's birth, his father's beard suddenly and mysteriously died. Father Beard has never been the same since.
椎名かがり。
彼女、ストラト4のモルモットにされていたんだわ。
Of course I'd known it was a possibility. My name has strange origins. Actually, it's the Australian word for balloon drag queen. Best leader name. So, you heard him. You can now call Deadbeard Balloon Drag Queen. That's why they've been looking for her. And she'd had Kirsty's memories too. And Hero's name has these origins. Dragon beans. I hope dragon beans isn't just another name for their testicles. So you can call Hero Dragon Beans. There you go. I mean, the thing about calling Deadbeard Balloon Drag Queen is you also have to acknowledge that he is both your leader and the best leader of all time. I don't need a stomach gel Nana. But still, it was one thing to suspect it and another to see proof.
だけど、最終実験までに
And
は至ら
Popeye
なかった
plays, well, that comes from that old saying.
その
Dang it, Deadbeard, you're the second baby I've had today. That made me feel a lot better. If Kagari still had Krisu's memories, I would have seen a repeat of what happened in the last world line. This must be another effect of the world line change. There was still no doubt that she'd been in Stratfor's hands for years. Dragon beans just doesn't sit right with you. And she'd been the subject of many experiments during that time.
少し心配だわ。
Maho must have been thinking the same thing I was. Kagari was alone with Yuki at Daru's hideout right now.
誰だよこの忙しい時に。
Okay, we got Daru's ringtone here. Round 2. Forced consent is the best kind of consent? Question mark. Why don't we have a choice for this ringtone? The ring that suddenly interrupted our conversation was coming from Daru's phone.
天梨だ。どうしたんだろう。
I had a bad feeling.
はい、もしもし。天梨、どうしたん？ 何かあったん？え？係たんが
係がどうした？
いなくなったって。
何？
I grabbed the phone out of his hands and put it to my
俺
ear.
だ、岡部だ。係がいなくなったって本当か？
岡部さん、ごめんなさい。私がついていながら。
一体どうして？誰かにさらわれたのか？
いえ、それが係さんが自分で、私必死で止めたんですけど、すごい力で。
自分で？
What was going on? Was Yuki really? No, that was impossible. Yuki was working for Stratfor. She wouldn't be calling me. Then why'd Kagari run off on her own?
スピーカーモードにしてもらえる？私も話が聞きたいわ。
To be fair, the second best kind of consent was first discovered when Mim snuck into Popeye's stream room and said, "It's not Whip Lady. My favorite character is not Whip Lady." I hit the button to switch the call to speakerphone.
ユキさん、係さんが飛び出していく前の状況を詳しく教えて。何か変わったことはなかった？特には。それまでいろいろとおしゃべりしていて。何か変な映像を見たりは？
I'm convinced Beardy has like a special way of like formatting his question to get perfect quotes for it.
いえ。あ、待ってください。そういえば、外から変な音楽が聞こえてました。何かの凱旋車みたいでしたけど、やけに大きい音だなと思ったら。
An advertising van? Was it the one I'd seen this afternoon?
それね。さっきのファイルに書いてあったわ。過去、ストラト4が行ってきた数々の実験。その実験の中に、ブレインウォッシングが含まれていた。
Brainwashing.
洗脳か？
Okay, we're learning about brainwashing. The use of violent methods to forcibly change someone's thoughts or ideology. Violence in this case can refer to physical methods, imprisonment, threats, physical pain, drug injection, etc., or psychological ones, implanting a feeling of guilt, using verbal abuse. It offers a more powerful method of changing a person's mentality than mind control. If you know the person well, you could reasonably guess the context. They're all saying the best format is always give a question that can be answered with a saying. Doesn't work all the time, though. Murder, solving all your problems.
特定の音楽を耳にすれば、自発的に行動するよう洗脳されていたんじゃないかし
For
ら。
example, when Popeye dies, the accident will be summed up on his tombstone with the following sentence. Here lies Popeye, he really should have ducked, and that strange man yelled, I hope you enjoy your redeem of dropping balls. That seems very long for a tombstone.
そうとでも考えなければ、この状況で自分から進んで飛び出すとは思えない。
The song the van was playing. It was K620-5. Don't DMCA me now! Oh, thank you, Deadbeard. The magic flute, sent to lead Kagari astray.
ファイルにも書かれているわ。
Didn't drop that ball, though.
適合性に非常に優れているため、目下行方を捜索中って。
They probably had vans like that all over Japan, not just Akihabara. She'd fallen right into their
どうす
trap.
る？オカリン。
It was obviously Stratfor that had gone after Kagari, which meant that all we could do was... And then there was another call. This time it was to my phone. I had Ferris prepare several cell phones for my use in this operation. One to use to call everyone, one to give to Kagari, and one to ring incessantly and piss the ever-loving crap out of everyone. The call was coming from the phone I'd given to Kagari. It probably wasn't from her, though. Shoo, fruit flies. You also feel bad for Mythic Mom. Who could it be?
岡部倫太郎だな。
Yeah, you don't know about Mythic Mom? The digitally altered voice. Because we joked that I'm Pop and he's Mom. Made the caller seem even more eerie.
そうだ。お前は。
椎名かがりは我々の手中にある。交換条件は言わなくてもわかるな。
Chrissy's laptop and the hard drive.
時間をくれ。
考える。何を考える必要がある。
Deadbeard has banned Papa Plays. Can you be the wise aunt that's always going on vacation? Would that make you hero of the undressed because you're at the beach?
交換は明日だ。場所と方法は追って連絡する。
They hung up.
クリスの PC とハードディスクと交換だそうだ。
どうするん？
We have a time leap machine, do we not? Just noticed something on my webcam source. If I right-click on the one that was resized and change the scale method to bicubic. Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste that, and I'll put it into my notepad for after stream. Oh wait, ignore you. The aliasing is because your TV's running at 240p. Okay, well, I'll take a look at it anyways. I also have to look at redeem times and max redeems. Okay, there we go. Notepad is open. Papa Plays just got a random follow. Suzuha was gritting her teeth in frustration as she listened to us. I had her come back immediately after the call. That brought Mooka Kiryu to the lab as well.
率直に教えてもらいたい。仮に相手の要求に従ったとして、かがりを返してもらえると思うか？
思わない。
Mooka gave her honest opinion.
私もそう思う。相手は洗脳なんて汚い手を使う人間だ。必要なくなれば容赦なく消すだろう。最悪、あなたもやられる。
The only reason they would have called me specifically is that they knew I had information they wanted to keep hidden. After what I'd gone through already, I could safely assume they'd show no mercy. They were after what Chrisu had left behind, her memories and her belongings. I didn't want them causing any more wars, which meant there was only one thing I could do.
力乗り込んで、かがりを取り戻すしかないな。
It was dangerous, but it was the only way. Mayuri and the others were still out there fighting, which meant they should still think I was running around the city.
乗り込むって、そんな相手がどこにいるのかもわからないのに。
どこにいるかなら知ってるさ。
本当か？おじさん、いつの間に？
鈴葉、手伝ってくれるか？
オキドキ。
I turned towards Mooka, who shook her head.
そこまでは付き合えない。
I bet.
ダメよ。
Yes, Samus, this is still the same ending.
いや、大勢で動くよりも危険は少ないかもしれない。
Once again, blame Hero for cursing us with the longest endings of life. And I knew that fate wasn't going to let me die for a little while
マユ
longer.
リさんたちには言わないの？
言えば心配かけるだろうからな。
It's the end that never ends. It goes on and on, my friends.
ダル、引き続き ロックの解除を頼む。それからスマホは通話状態にしておいてくれ。
オキドキ。
おじさん、これを。
Souza handed me a semi-automatic pistol. Okay, who's ready to learn about America? The Glock 17. A semi-automatic pistol developed by Austrian arms manufacturer Glock. It's the civilian version of the official sidearm of the Austrian military, the Pi 80. It has a 9mm caliber and 17 plus 1 round capacity. The frame is fully plastic. It's a revolutionary design that have a huge effect on future firearm technology.
もしもの時は自分の身は自分で守るんだ。
I hesitated, but decided to take it. The first time in my life I'd ever held a gun. It was a lot heavier than I expected it. Do we not have to teach you, like how to, like, turn off the safety and stuff like that? Guns don't kill people. Body pillows with the following description kill people. Great, anytime we need, we can come back and look at his little sister. Gosh dang it. Yeah, that kills you because everyone beats you up for looking at someone's little sister, and the FBI comes. My dog is twitching. Be a good dog, Oreo. The lights were still on in the building in Konda. Even at this hour, the gate was open. That's how colleges were. As expected, we made it inside with no trouble.
ここに係が。
Thank you, Samuses.
ああ、そのはずだ。
If Dara's information from 2036 was right, Stratfor's base was here at my university, Tokyo Denkai. Her name is Cruella. Several buildings occupied the school's Konda campus building. Building 1, buildings 5 through 7, and buildings 11 through 15. We're looking for donors. Please, let us name a building after you. Buildings 5, 6, 10, and 15 were scattered throughout the surrounding neighborhood, but the remainder were in their own little isolated area. Only 2 of those with basements were 11 and 15. My guess was that Stratfor's base was here, in Building 11. It was not only the building with the newest equipment, but it was also a big building with 17 floors and a lot of foot traffic going in and out. You misread that as Popeye Sins and was not disappointed. Oh, speaking of sins, I just lost the game. Have fun. It's been 2 hours. I didn't know how many people Stratfor had working for them, but at least some of them had to have been out looking for me. Which meant this place would be less well guarded than usual. And I had Suzuha with me too. Okay, no worries, hero. I've also kicked out Samus's.
こっちだ。
I led Suzuha straight down the stairs. There were 3 elevators in the building, but Suzuha decided that taking them would be dangerous. They could potentially be trapped. The problem was what lay down below. There were over 20 rooms of varying size in the 2-story basement. Which one of them was their base?
おじさん、こっち。
わかるのか。
思い出した。ここなら昔潜入したことがある。私が知ってる建物はもう崩れかけで、外観も全然変わってたからわからなかったけど、間違いない。
Ah yes, future map knowledge. Suzuha led me down the corridors without hesitation. With her gun in her hand and her hips dropped low to the ground to avoid making noise as she ran, she looked just like a cat. Suzunya? She stopped in front of one of the rooms and nodded to me. It seemed no different than any of the others. There was no nameplate on it. This was supposed to be a large generator room, as I recalled.
私はかがりを救出
As
す
he
る
recalled, do you just like have the layout of your university memorized? I know I don't.
あ
And I use some of my university had these really weird underground tunnels that look super sketch, and there was like no cameras, no nothing. They were great for avoiding the rain, but you could go like 10 minutes underground without passing anyone, and it could get really creepy. I took the Glock out from my belt. It was heavy in my hands. Sousa had taught me how to use it, but I'd never fired it before. I wasn't sure I'd be able to. It would still serve as a bluff.
行くよ3、2、1
After she finished her countdown, Sousa shut off the doorknob, kicked open the door, and ran into the room. She did it all in one swift movement. I ran in after her and realized immediately that something was wrong. The first thing I noticed was the stench. It was an iron smell, strong enough to make you puke. Probably blood. Blood! The floor of the room was covered with blood. There were bodies, too. 4 or 5 of them. Of course, Sousa hadn't done it. It was already like this when we got here.
どういうことだ
Sousa was slowly working her way forward. I followed her. Some of the bodies were Japanese and some were American. The room continued on. You just painstakingly typed that clip URL into Discord to post it? Are you on mobile? Is that why it was a pain and you couldn't copy-paste it? A large man was lying face down next to the half-open door. Next to him was...
思ったよりも早かったわね、ルインタロ
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
バカな
The voice saying my name was voluptuous and feminine. Its accent was foreign.
レイエス教授
元気そうで何よりだわ。
どうして
ちょっと探し物を返してもらおうかと思って。
Dr. Reyes spun around quickly and smoothly like a dancer. Kagari was seated behind her, with weird, like, robot hands to her head.
どうしたカガリ聞こえないのか
There was some kind of strange mechanical device over her head. No matter how much I called out her name, she didn't move an inch.
あら。
What is this
せっかく気持ちよ
pose?
く眠ってるんだから起こしてあげたらかわいそうよ。
Her smile was sharp and cold, and completely lacked the warmth I'd seen when we first met.
気をつけろそいつ軍人だ
Sousa already had her gun drawn at Reyes. But Reyes didn't seem concerned in the slightest. Noji had said that, come to think of it, that the group looking for Kagari was with the Western military. He'd wondered if a normal spy would have taken their own life.
そっちのあなた何者？
かがりを返せ
いい顔ね。日本にもそういう顔をできる人間がいるなんて知らなかった。とりあえず銃をこちらに。でないと椎名かがりは死ぬわよ。
かがりを殺した瞬間に私がお前を殺す
あらそう。私は組織で動いている。私一人を殺したところで状況は変わらないわよ。
スズハ
I love how they got the concrete walls in every university's like basement ever, like down to a pat. Suzuha laid the gun at her feet, frustrated.
いい子ね。ついでにそこで両手を頭の後ろに置いて立ってなさい。それでリンタロウ、交換条件は提示したはずだけど、ちゃんと持ってきてくれたの？あらあら、いけない子ね。持ってきていないなら、こちらとしては椎名かがりは渡せないわ。
She'd said Kagari was asleep. Looked closer at her eyelid, I saw that her eyelids weren't fully closed. From what little I could see of her eyes, they were empty and devoid of light.
残念だけどまだ何もしていないわ。彼らが使っていた子守歌をちょっと聞かせてあげただけ。でもあなたが交換条件に応じる気がないみたいだから、これから始めてしまおうかしら。
She rubbed Kagari's cheeks with the barrel of the gun, a look of ecstasy on her face.
PC とハードディスクは特別な場所に隠してある。かがりを渡さないならこっちも教えるつもりはない。先にかがりを解放しろ。
交渉は無駄よ、リンタロウ。そっちが渡す気がないなら、こっちはこっちのやり方をさせてもらうわ。
It wasn't a threat or a bluff. Race was acting like this. It was an everyday conversation. All the blood and stench around us. That somehow made it even creepier.
あなたがやったのか。
ええ。彼らも余計な真似をしなければ、もう少し長生きできたのに。残念ね。
どうしてこんな真似を。
簡単なことよ。私の正体に気づいたから。
正体。
そこの彼女が言ってたでしょ。
軍か。
同時に研究者でもある。ダーパって言ってもどうせわからないでしょうけど。
Oh, it'll mean something once we look up what DERPA means. Fictional, the American Defense Ultimate Research Projects Agency. Created to adapt the latest scientific technology for military purposes. It reports directly to the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense. It is staffed by around 300 people, many of whom are non-military civilians. And since it reports directly to the Secretary of Defense, it is kept free of direct military influence. Researchers in DERPA are given wide latitude to pursue projects they find interesting. During the days of its predecessor, ERPA, it was responsible for the development of ERPANET, which would later become the Internet, as well as the Global Positioning System, GPS. Yes, it's DARPA, but as everyone knows, it wasn't ARPANET, it was ERPANET. Shut up, Maho. I could hear Maho's voice through my Bluetooth microphone. I'd left my phone connected to Daru's so that we could stay in touch if we needed to. Okay, I have to say, you're in the second basement, surrounded by concrete, and you still have a wireless signal? That, like, your phone is amazing, and your wireless carrier is amazing? Buy time now? It would be impossible. I'd asked Daru for the impossible many times before. Now it was my turn. I couldn't let her hurt Kagari. Suzuha had lost her weapon. It would be hard to do this by force. I just needed to keep her occupied.
その軍の人間がどうして。
もともと私の所属するチームはブレインウォッシングの研究をしていたのよ。
洗脳。それじゃあかがりは。
So, the plot reason for that is Dr. Reyes said she would kill Kagari if we tried anything. The typical villain move.
言っておくけど、彼女を殺したのは私じゃない。彼らよ。
Them? She must have meant the people lying on the floor.
そもそもなぜ軍の人間が洗脳の研究なんてする必要がある。
There was no need to even ask, but I needed to buy time for Daru to finish his hacking.
決まってるでしょ。思い通りに動く戦士を作るためよ。文句を言うこともなく、死を恐れることもない。国のために身を捧げる最強の戦士を作るため。別に珍しいことじゃないわ。そんなの100年以上も前から世界中で行われているもの。でもね、洗脳なんて面倒なことをしなくても 最強の戦士を作り上げられると私たちは気づいたの。
This game has become the plot of the Metal Gear series. See, I've never played any of those.
AI 戦士よ。
AI 戦士
Name alone sound like the title of a cheap sci-fi movie, but that also just made it creepier.
なるほどな。人工知能を
Instead of nanomachines, brainwashing. Instead of Metal Gear, time travel.
そうすれば一様に高度な頭脳と思考を持つ戦士を大量に生み出すことができる。
へえ。
それに特殊技能についての記憶を兵士全員にインストールすれば全員がどんなミッションもこなせる兵士にだってなれる。
その通り。リンタロウ、理解が早いわね。しかもゆくゆくは教識化することでより綿密で高度な連携を図れるようにもなる。どう？すごいでしょ？
そんなの許されるわけがない。
陳腐なセリフね。
I was worried that Suzuha might jump at her in fury, but she stayed completely calm. Reyes was right next to Kagari. No matter how fast Suzuha was without a gun, Kagari was still in danger. If I knew Suzuha, she was watching the situation carefully, waiting for an opening.
いい？私たちは世界の治安を守っているの。我が軍があるからこそ世界の平和は保たれているのよ。
There is the most American thing I've ever heard. Our military is the only thing keeping the world peaceful.
そのための戦士になれるのなら彼らだって本望のはず。
It was selfish reasoning. There was no way I or anyone else could accept it. But...
面白い。レイエス教授、いや、レイエス。貴様、なかなか面白いじゃないか。
I saw Suzuha's gaze dart over to me for just a moment. Her eyes seemed to criticize me, but she didn't say anything.
リンタロウ？
リンタロウではない。
My job right now is to keep her busy until Daro broke the lock on the files. It meant that now was the time to act. To act the part of the biggest fool I could. That was my job.
我が名は法院京馬。世界の支配構造を覆し、混沌に陥れる男。
一体何の冗談？
この狂気のマッドサイエンティスト、法院京馬が認めてやろう。貴様、なかなかにマッドだ。
Are moderately mad. On a scale of like 1 to 10, if I'm a 10, you're like a 4, maybe.
ほう。何？
法院京馬だ。岡部倫太郎と世を欺くための仮の姿。その正体こそこの俺、不死鳥のごとく蘇るマッドサイエンティストだ。
何それ？あなたユニークね。
For a moment, her mouth hung open in shock, but she quickly regained her cocky smile. I couldn't back down now.
これまで貴様がやってきたことはすでに把握した。貴様は AI 戦士の研究のためにビクトル・コンドリア大学の教授として潜り込む。そしてその過程でアマデウスプロジェクトにたどり着いた。そうだな。
ええ、その通りよ。アマデウスはなかなかに面白いプロジェクトだったわ。でもそれよりも面白かったのは
She stepped on the body next to her as if it were an object, not a human being.
アマデウスプロジェクトの陰に見え隠れする彼らの存在よ。案の定探りを入れてみたらとんでもないものが見えてきた。何が出てきたかはあなたも知ってるでしょ。
タイムマシンだな。
Reyes flashed me a dazzling smile and nodded.
人類の夢であり、決して作り出すことのできないと言われたタイムマシン。その理論が記された論文の存在に気づいたか。それを手に入れれば、世界の覇権をも手に入れることができると。だが、くだらんな。貴様らの考えることは皆同じだ。
くだらないですって。
ああ、実にくだらん。世界の覇権、国家のため、組織のため、機関のため、どれも歪小な目的だ。そんなもののために正義の大発明を利用するなど、科学者として下の下。
私は科学者である前に軍人よ。国に命を捧げたものなの。我が国が世界の覇権を手に入れれば、それだけで抑止力になる。それは世界のためでもあり、人類のためでもあるのよ。
Her voice was rising in excitement.
決して他の国に先を越されるわけにはいかない。
Ahead of US.
革命的な理論を私たちが手に入れることで、世界の均衡は守られる。世界の平和は保たれるのよ。
Keeping the world's power balance the way it is, aka, we want to stay on top. America is like a dom of a country.
それがこれだけの人間を手にかけた理由か。あえてもう一度言おう。くだらないな。
あらそう。彼らには悪いことをしたと思ってるわ。
She didn't really sound like she meant it.
なら彼らを泳がせるだけ泳がせておいて、すべてを手に入れてからデータを頂戴するつもりだった。
ならなぜ殺した？
Yep.
スパイとして潜り込ませていた部下の一人がヘマをしでかしちゃったのよ。だからそれについてはこちらの落ち度だと思ってるわ。でもね、彼らだって悪いのよ。うちには民間の研究者も在籍しているの。そちらに席を用意するって提案したのに、欲を出して要求を突きつけてきたりなんかするから、才能のある人間を失うのは不本意だわ。
The corners of her mouth rose a little as she spoke. It didn't seem like she really felt that way at all.
さて、ここで一つ提案。岡部倫太郎、あなた。
Join us, and together we can rule the world.
何？
あら、意外って顔ね。一体何のためにわざわざこんな話をしたと思うの？
Because villains like to monologue?
メイドの土産に。日本のサムライシネマの中だけの話でしょ。心配しなくていいわ。私たちは国籍なんて問わないし、お望みならばグリーンカードだって用意してあげられる。
つまり俺のこの法王院清間の才能を認めたというわけか。
もちろん、才能のない人間には声をかけたりなんてしないわ。あなたには才能がある。それにマキセ・クリスの友人でもある。
The real reason she was interested in me was probably the latter. It was far too obvious. Deadbeard redeemed Discord? I mean, okay. At some point after stream. Okay, let me add that to my list. Add Beardy to Discord. Yeah, don't worry, Samus says I can deal with that after.
そう期待しているわけだ。
Oh, Samus's can do this.
だからこの俺が欲しいと。
役に立つ人間は引き抜く。正当な対価も払う。それが私たちの生きる世界のルールだもの。
ということは 役に立たなくなったら俺もそこに転がっている彼らのようになるわけだな。
それはあなたの働きと心がけ次第じゃないかしら。
Thank you for that, Samus's. She seemed to be moving casually. Since Suza didn't pounce, she probably hadn't left any openings.
まだなのか。
I was hitting my limit for buying time.
ゆっくり考えて。
Thank you, Samus's.
この俺の才能に目をつけるとはなかなかのハイエスト愛の持ち主だ。
ハイエストアイ。
目が高いという意味だ。メリケン人そんなこともわからないとはな。だがまあいい。科学者としてゲのゲだと言ったさっきの言葉を取り消して何せこの俺の才能を見抜いたのだからな。
あら、それならこちらの提案に乗ってくれるのね。
断る。なぜならこの俺は王院京馬だからだ。狂気のマッドサイエンティスト、孤高の存在でなければならない。いついかなる時も何者にも属してはならない。それが宿命。
At first, Ray seemed surprised, but then she exhaled a long sigh.
まあ、それについては結論を急ぐ必要はないわ。彼女の処置が終わるまでゆっくり考えてもらって構わない。
かがりをどうするつもりだ。
Suza still had her hands behind her head. If looks could kill, Reyes would be dead already.
分かりきったことでしょ。彼女の頭の中にマキセ・クリスの記憶を上書きするの。
それは。
Then in the other world line, maybe Derpa did that, and not Stratfor? That wasn't all. Was the woman in the motorcycle seat who attacked the lab?
そんな顔しなくても大丈夫よ。このために今日まで動物や何人もの人間を使って実験を繰り返してきたんだから。
Reyes rubbed Kagari's cheeks lovingly.
そもそもこれまでのシステムには致命的な不具合があったの。でも今回はそれも解消した。その上彼女の高い適応力もある。
I'm glad for once in this game they're like, you know, our software had a bug for like a year, like several years, but we finally fixed it. Meanwhile, we're like, hey, Maho like made this like semi-AI phone in like 3 hours and it works perfectly. This will be a good idea to solve my Discord issue script. Yeah. Every single word she spoke, and she spoke so slowly, felt like it was drawing me in.
記憶が頭脳がこの子の中で再現されるのよ。そうなれば記憶のブラックボックスなんて存在しなくなる。
You want to live in this reality?
私たちの言うがまま。彼女はきっとタイムマシンについても全部教えてくれる。もうクリスの PC もハードディスクもいらない。彼女さえいてくれればそれでいいの。
Grace brought her crimson lips next to Kagari.
ねえ、かがり。あなただってクリスになりたいでしょ。
ダメだ、かがり。そいつの言葉を聞くな。
But Kagari didn't move at all.
天才と呼ばれたあの頭脳があなたのものになるのよ。
Yes, there is no little bell here.
世界に革新を起こす存在になれるの。
Okay, see,
素敵だと思う。
maybe Sherb is like conditioning us, so then later she changes it to be something else, but we still instinctively click on it anyway. It's like every time I hear this, you click this, now I like take one sip of Pepsi Max. That seems like something Sherb would do. 10-point sorry routine.
お返事は
Hikari's lips moved a little.
いい子ね。
かがり。
リンタロウ、これはあなたの選択でもあるのよ。素直にこちらの交換条件に応じていれば、結果は変わったかもしれないのに。それに、あなただって本当はクリスに会いたいんじゃないかしら。人間を構成するのは記憶よ。記憶がその人間を作り出しているの。クリスの記憶を持ったかがりはクリスそのものになるわ。そうなればあなただって嬉しいでしょ。
Drinking Pepsi, anything is a war crime. I've tried to tell them Coke is better than Pepsi, but no one listens to me.
それにクリスだって。
ふざけるな。
I was surprised at how loud my voice was.
が喜ぶだと。そんなわけがあるか。
I haven't had pop in a long time, but I always preferred Coke over Pepsi. Pepsi has a weird aftertaste for me. Yeah, that's my reason for it. But if I was given a choice of any type of pop, I'm going iced tea, like all the time. Coke's alright. Anything that's like lemon lime, like Sprite or 7-Up is good too. Pepsi Max is not the best. Do we need to have like an all-streamer blind taste test of pops? Just have like everyone like gets on Discord at the same time. We all have someone else who like labels like the like red cups that you have at university, pours all the different kinds in, and then we all have to like drink and be like, oh, A's or the third one's my favorite, and then we get to see.
So, 残念だわ。
Pepsi Max 2, Electric Boogaloo.
いずれにせよ、結果は同じ。そこで大切な人の記憶がこの子の中に受け継がれるのをおとなしく見守っていなさい。
Ray started to tap commands onto the computer next to her. Suzuha was still calm. She wasn't attacking Reyes, because she was waiting for Daru's word. Damn it.
おじさん
Suzuha whispered to me.
かがりを見捨てる。私が動いたら伏せて。
Knowing Suzuha, she wouldn't hesitate.
はーい、準備 OK。
Back to lurk mode. Candy, isn't it like... What is it? It's about 9 o'clock here, so it's 3 a.m. for you? What do I do? Did I give up on her? I couldn't do that, could I? But either way, Kagari was doomed.
それじゃあ、さよなら、かがり。
See, Samus thinks that Candy should be going to bed now. Reyes' thin fingers stretched out. And Suzuha moved. She closed the gap between her and Reyes in an instant. A gunshot rang out. Suzuha's body shot back and fell to the floor. How can bed be real if time isn't? Exactly.
そう来ると思ったわ。残念だったわね。
Reyes had expected that, and there was nothing I could do. Before I could stop her, Reyes hit the keyboard. What did the keyboard do to you? What?
どういうこと？どうして反応しないの？まさかこいつ。
Reyes pounded the keyboard again and again, swearing. Is there a problem with the system? There was a small light in Kagari's empty eyes. With Reyes distracted, this was my chance. Kagari ripped the device off her head, stood up, and managed to run a few steps before she fell over. I ran over and grabbed her. Reyes quickly brought her gun to bear. Another gunshot. I thought I'd been shot, but I hadn't. The gun, knocked out of Reyes' hand, was spinning on the floor. Suzuha slowly stood up. She was holding the gun that she'd placed on the ground. Her shoulders were bloody, but it wasn't a fatal wound. She was lucky to survive a gunshot wound at that range.
参ったわね。まさかあなたみたいな子にしてやられるなんて。
Rhea shrugged her shoulders in surrender.
でもここで終わるわけにはいかないのよ。動くなと言っている。
Reyes ignored her and picked up the strange headset that Kagari had been wearing. Suzuha gripped her gun more tightly.
ちなみに私、小型の爆弾をポケットの中に持ってる。奥歯をちょっとだけ噛み締めれば、それで起爆するのよ。この至近距離なら、あなたたち3人も巻き込まれちゃうでしょうね。自爆する気か。敵に情報が渡るぐらいなら死を選べと教育されているの。悲しい。
Just thought of Edgeworth, you're just like...
はったりだ。
そう思うなら、撃てばいい。
Suzuha moved to pull the trigger.
待て、鈴葉。今は誰を信じろ。
Reyes glanced at Suzuha and then put the headset down over her own head.
何をするつもりだ。
あなたも彼女じゃなければいいんでしょ。
まさか。
言ったでしょ。ここで終われない。
There was madness in her eyes. She's gone to like a 10 in madness.
わざわざ他人を使わなくても、最初からこうすればよかったのよ。これで私はマキセ・クリスの記憶を手に入れられるの。タイム麻酔の理論を得ることもできるの。世界に確信をもたらす存在になれるのよ。
そんなこと。
Don't use Chris's memories for that.
誰？
今から私は時間をも支配できる存在になる。
誰？早くファイルを。
Reyes' fingers went for the keyboard.
大丈夫。心配しなくても、あなたの大切な女の記憶を私がちゃんと役立ててあげる。
消せ！誰？頼む！クリスを！あいつを解放してやってくれ！
Coming to me, Chris.
Could have phrased that so much better. Reyes' fingers touch the keyboard. Silence. Nothing happened. There was no light or loud noise like the phone wave. Of course there wasn't. It was all going on inside her head. That's beardy levels of phrasing.
なったんだ。
Reyes. She was in the exact same position as when she touched the keyboard, completely unmoving. Did the memories download? I steeled myself to take a closer look. And Reyes collapsed to her knees. The light hit her face, and I could finally see her expression. There was nothing there. No light, no darkness. Nothing. Just hollow emptiness in her eyes. That expression of joy she'd had when she touched the keyboard was frozen onto her cheeks.
オカリンさん、その人は。
早かったんだ。ダルの方が一瞬だけ。
The folder had been empty just before she downloaded the memories into her own mind. She'd filled her head with emptiness, and now nothing was left. Not the memories she'd had before, not her own history, not her own desires. There was just an empty shell. There was just an empty shell kneeling on the ground as if praying to God.
ダル、よくやった。終わったよ。
A new personal best, 10 beardies. I could hear Daru and Maho cheering from the earphone.
行こう、おじさん。いつまでもここにいるのは良くない。
そうだな。係、歩けるか？
The only things left were dead bodies and a living corpse. Amadeus, the girl on the other side of the machine, was gone. She was gone from this world, along with the memories of the person I loved. I whispered softly to a girl who was no longer there.
また会おうな、クリス。
One beardy equals one man saying, "Forced consent is the best kind of consent?" Question mark. I mean, like, I know I don't have a lot of quotes, but I'm in, what, the 70s? Maybe the 80s, so... Like, we shouldn't be having duplicate quotes.
それじゃあ、まゆし、私たちまた来るね。
But I think that's a good place to call it. We went through... Oh, and we've jumped ahead, what, 4 days. But yeah, I think that's a good place to call it.